Is it just me, or did that feel like the longest 2 weeks without watching Aston Villa play football? International football, get in the bin. Unai Emery ball is back this Sunday, 2 o'clock at Elland Road. Can't wait for it. We know what time it is, Sunday, 2 o'clock, every week pretty much now as a Villa fan. Bring it on, can't wait. A trip to Elland Road, it's always a fun one, isn't it? I won't be going this year, but I've been many times in the past. I was there for that famous Bielsa giving us a goal, all the drama that went on that day. The Gerrard 3-0, Matty Cash scoring, Callum Chambers scoring a worldie goal as well. What a great day that was. And the absolute snooze fest. I think it was the last time we played there when Gerrard was just treading water in the last few weeks of his management, and that 0-0 stink fest that it was. But let's hope for more drama than that this Sunday, and hopefully Villa can pick up 3 points. It's a game we're really going to have to get 3 points from. We're going to have to beat a side like Leeds. They've won one in their last 5. They're a poor side, relegation threatened side. Daniel Farke could be in the last weeks of his management career at Leeds. This could be in the final nail in the coffin for him. Let's hope so. Let's hope Villa stick another nail in. Nothing against Daniel Farke, by the way, if you're watching. I'm sure you're not. But yeah, Villa have got to target 3 points in this game, haven't they? Like I say, it's been a long 2 weeks. I don't know why. It might just be me. I've had to spend some more time with the missus, talk to the family again. Yeah, it's been a long 2 weeks. But we're back to the real stuff now, and I can't wait for this game. Like I keep saying, I'm just like a kid at Christmas waiting for Villa to play football again. And it's going to be a big week with 3 games this week. Obviously, Leeds Sunday, it's Young Boys on Thursday, and then we play again next Sunday. Who do we play next week? I actually can't fully remember. We'll get to that. It's Wolves, isn't it? Of course. So it's a run of games that Villa really have to be targeting maximum points from, don't they? So let's get into the talking points then. We'll have a quick touch on England, everything that went on there. Not much. Can't criticise England. They've passed through the qualification phase with flying colours, haven't even conceded a goal. They've been pretty much flawless. Can't take anything away from them. Can't take anything away from Thomas Tuchel. The Jude Bellingham hysteria has been a bit irritating, hasn't it? All the talk about him. Obviously, I do think certain aspects of the media have gotten his back too much, but there's obviously something in there with his character. Thomas Tuchel doesn't seem to like him, does he? And that's not for no reason. But I'm not going to talk about him too much. But what has annoyed me about that is just it's really kind of created a battle between him and Morgan Rogers, and Morgan Rogers has been on the end of some unfair criticism as well, just because he doesn't play for Real Madrid. He shouldn't be playing for England, which is just bonkers. I'm not particularly saying Rogers should be starting over Bellingham. Bellingham is a top player. You don't play for Real Madrid if you're not a top player. He couldn't wait to get out of Birmingham City, just like his brother. Let's not forget that. He's won Champions League already as well. He's a good player, but pitting them against each other, I think, is a bit unfair on Morgan Rogers. Tuchel likes him. He hasn't had the best of starts to the season, Morgan Rogers, but we all know his potential. We all know what he's capable of, and get off his back. He's a young lad, and he's just going to get better and better. And it wouldn't surprise me to see him starting or having a big impact in the World Cup this summer. So, yeah, a little bit unfair on him, but moving on to the rest of the villains in international action over the past week or two. Daniel Marlin scored a great goal against Lithuania. Yes, the mighty Lithuania. He picked the ball up from in his own half, drove at goal, fantastic finish on his left foot. I think he probably is Villa's best finisher, but he just kind of falls between the lines. Where does he fit in for an Unai Emery Villa team? It's difficult, isn't it? Because he wouldn't be the only player to not only really good player to not fit into an Unai Emery system. Look at the likes of, obviously we're seeing it with Harvey Elliott, aren't we? This is what's great about Unai Emery's management in a way, is he won't just pick you if you're a good player. You have to fit the system, and does Daniel Marlin do that? He has at spells, hasn't he? I'm really hoping he does, because he has taken his opportunity in the last few weeks, hasn't he? Those 2 goals against Burnley. Great finishes. I really think he's a fantastic finisher, but I just don't see him leading the line. I just don't see him leading the line for Villa. I think Ollie Watkins does lead the line better, but if only he had Daniel Marlin's finishing. So it'd be interesting, again, when he played off Watkins in that kind of second striker role, almost that Diaby role we like to call it. He was really good there, so potentially we could see that again this weekend. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, Buendia got minutes for Argentina. Well deserved for him, wasn't it, to get back in to the World Cup winning team's squad. So big achievement for him. He really deserved it. Emi Martinez had a rest, didn't he? Again, there was a bit of drama around that, wasn't there? Martinez has been dropped by Argentina. No, that wasn't the case. The manager said in the previous camp that he was going to be rested for this one. Ollie Watkins had a rest. Boubacar Kamara somehow doesn't get into the France team, which is just absolutely mental. God knows what they've got in midfield if Boubacar Kamara is not good enough to get in there. But good news for Villa in a way, rested, hopefully recovered. And for Ollie Watkins in particular, I've got a feeling this might just be a good thing for him to have a couple of weeks off, little cheeky holiday with the family. I don't know where he went, Dubai, somewhere like that, I'm sure, very nice. Week or so in the sun, put your feet up, just let your mind rest, let your mind recover, and hopefully he can come back firing and just remind himself of the player that he is and the player that he's capable of being, and just find his shooting boots again. I don't think his performances have been terrible at all. I think he has led the line well, but he just can't find the back of the net. He needs an almost Daniel Marlon-esque goal against Bournemouth, just off his heel that deflected, just something to get him firing again, and hopefully that can come this weekend. I think we have to stick with him. I think he's gonna play, and he has to start finding the back of the net, and let's hope he can do so. I do think a break might just serve him well. But it's not just positives. There's been a few negatives from the break. Obviously, Ezri Konsa picked up some sort of injury. He was left at home for the Albania game. This does look precautionary. I don't think it will keep him out. Again, I am filming this probably just before Unai's presser, so there might be some confirmation there. He never really gives too much away, Unai Emery, does he? I'm sure we'll say he'll be monitored or he'll be checked tomorrow in training. Who knows? But yeah, it is a negative. Ezri Konsa, he plays a lot of football, doesn't he? So he's one you would like to have a break. Tommy Tuchel, let's get it right, does seem to really like Ezri Konsa, doesn't he? And I think he's finally getting some of the credit he deserves. You do listen to certain other aspects or other fan media just kind of write Ezri Konsa off and just assume John Stones and Mark Gay should be starting for England. Just they need to watch him. They really need to watch him. They need to take their mind out of this fake Big Six narrative that just isn't a thing anymore, because half of the Big Six don't spend much time in the Big Six. So yeah, he needs more credit, and he's starting to get that. And luckily, Thomas Tuchel, who is a Champions League winning manager, can see that. But let's hope that is precautionary, because if we are missing him, and obviously Tyrone Mings is out as well for the foreseeable, that will be a big miss. I mean, who steps in there? Probably Lamar Bogard. If so, hopefully not Victor Lindelof, not to give him too much stick, but I just wouldn't feel too confident with him in there. But he's an experienced player, so let's see. But fingers crossed, Ezri Konsa does make, and I do get the feeling he will. Similar story with Matty Cash. Again, he's another one, plays a hell of a lot of football for club and country, doesn't he? Pretty much every minute, whether it's Europa League as well, plays a lot of minutes in there. It seems like a precautionary one with him. He said, I think the Polish manager said he picked up a knock, because I looked at the lineup when Poland played, and I was surprised to not see Matty Cash in there. So I thought there's got to be some sort of problem here, especially when he's been in really good form this season. You think, Poland really got a player better than Matty Cash to slot in there? I don't know, but yeah, it seems like that was maybe a precautionary one as well. So fingers crossed he's going to be back, because again, who comes in there? Obviously Andres Garcia. I think we've seen something today or yesterday that he's back in training. I don't really know what's going on with him. I personally just don't think he's fancied. I think he's another one that Unai's had a look at. Used him when he had to last season when Cash was injured, but I don't think he rates him, unfortunately. But we'll have to see. I was quite impressed with him. I think a lot of Villa fans did like him, but Unai just hasn't seemed to trust him. But again, we don't know whether that is just down to injury. Another one, Amadou Onana. Again, there's three here that's quite similar. Again, he was rested or left out, it seemed, as a precaution again, for Belgium's second game of the international break, where they qualified for the World Cup. I think they won 7-0 in that game, so they probably thought we don't necessarily need him, so we'll give him a bit of a rest in this one. But it does always worry us Villa fans when you hear that, especially with Amadou Onana, who is so injury prone. Not to get on his back, but it's not his fault, but he does suffer with injuries, and that's what's hampered him since making his £50 million move to Villa. Great player on his day. We've seen it in recent weeks. He's been fantastic. He's been crucial, because I started to doubt not his ability, but just his ability to stay fit, be consistent, play week in, week out, use his attributes, his strength, his long limbs, his power. Sometimes you feel like he's not using his strengths, but he has really started to in recent weeks. He's been absolutely fantastic since he has returned from injury, and he silenced a lot of doubters, and he's been absolutely brilliant. And hopefully, he does remain fit and he's in contention for Sunday. But you can't help but it does make your palm sweat as a Villa fan when you hear that with Amadou Onana. But on the other hand, Yuri Tillemans, he returned and he said he's feeling 100% fit, and he played majority of the game. He started for Belgium's second game in that 7-0 victory. So that's great news. I've seen a lot of people, they have said like Tillemans has got to earn his spot back, and I do look. Everyone has to earn their right to play. You can't just be given a spot or assured of a spot in this Villa team that's a side chasing Europe, chasing Champions League, chasing trophy this year. But he was Villa's player of the season last year. For me, he does walk back into the team and you have to find a spot for him, whether it's too soon this weekend, potentially. But I think eventually, Yuri Tillemans, he walks back into the team because he's that quality and he's that instrumental to what we do and what we did last season. So definitely he has to come back in. But it's going to be there is going to be a few selection headaches if those players that I've mentioned, Onana and Tillemans in particular, are all available, because Unai's going to have a good headache and a good decision to make, because Villa have got quite a few midfielders that are particularly in form. We throw Ross Barkley into that mix as well. We saw his interview, didn't we, with the Athletic Jacob Tanswell. That was a really good interview with Ross Barkley. He opened up about his issues he's had with alcohol in the past and how he's gone teetotal now, and you can see a bit of a shift in him. He seems to be playing better. He's playing in that more advanced position again, which kind of is rolling back the years of the younger Ross Barkley, or what we've seen in his previous stint at Villa, and he's done well, and hopefully he can continue this form, and because he's always carries a goal threat, especially in the opposition box from set pieces as well. So it's another option for Villa, isn't it, that we haven't had for quite a long time. So yeah, it was good to see him be so open, and hopefully he's over that stage of his career or his life where he was struggling a bit. So that was great to hear that he's on the mend. So really good news there. And of course we've got to talk about the main man, haven't we? I've saved the best till last, and that is Super John McGinn. What an international break for him with Scotland qualifying for the World Cup in really dramatic fashion, wasn't it? That win over Denmark, that 4-2 victory. He didn't get on the score sheet, but John McGinn always plays an instrumental part, and the Scotland fans love him as much as we love him, and he's just a character that I think, how can you dislike John McGinn? He's just, what a guy. He's my favourite ever Villa player. I think I come on here every time and just talk about how much I love John McGinn. I don't really get players' names on my shirt, but I think I'm going to have to get a John McGinn shirt because I just absolutely love the bloke. And obviously the documentary come out this week as well, and if you haven't watched it, I'd urge you to go and watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. Some really good stories in there, and some sliding doors moments that McGinn talks about, the highs and lows of his time at Villa. He talks about the low at Nottingham Forest when he was jeered off, and sometimes reminds you as a fan to just get behind the players, especially the ones that have served you well and always put their shift in. I think Matty Cash has had stick in the past. Morgan Rogers was jeered off, or sarcastically cheered off a few weeks ago. Us as fans need to do better and get behind the team, because they are just young lads at the end of the day. They do feel it, and they do see things on social media. So it's our role as fans to get behind the team. I've never done it myself. I would never have sarcastically cheered John McGinn off after what he's done for us, even at that point 2 or 3 years ago. So yeah, I was at that game. I can't particularly remember that, but I remember there was quite a bit at the end. Mings came over towards the fans, and to be fair, the Villa fans had just had enough of Gerrard. So it was a tough time, and Steven Gerrard did throw John McGinn under the bus, I think, a lot, playing him in weird positions at times. But that's another story. But just going back to John McGinn, yeah, it was a great documentary, great features from the likes of Jack Grealish that tells some really funny stories in there. He's always, I know we've given Grealish some stick over the last couple of years, but you can tell how much he does. He does love Villa. So there was some great stories, and he's always good value, isn't he? So I would urge you to go and watch it. Steve Bruce in there, Dean Smith as well. It's a real good reminder of where we've come from as well, the lows to the highs. And John McGinn's really been a massive part of that. So I was delighted for him to qualify for Scotland, which I think I said in a video earlier this week. That's all the praise I can give him. The highest thing I can say about him is that I'm genuinely happy when Scotland win a game of football, which I'd never thought I'd say that genuinely, because as an Englishman, look, we're not the most fond of the Scots, and they aren't with us, are they? But John McGinn has made me watch out for them, and we could potentially be seeing that goggle celebration at the World Cup, and that would be absolutely amazing. So he deserves it. He's just such a humble guy. See him with he posted a picture with his parents, and he's just very humble, isn't he? And I just can't speak highly enough of the bloke. And I'm so happy and proud that he's our captain. I think he represents the club so well. So yeah, really pleased for him. Will he have been on the beers this week potentially? So I've seen Villa post something about McGinn being back or the skipper being back like today. I don't know whether that was pictured today or earlier in the week. I don't know, but it seems like wow, he's only just come back today. Like we've got a game in 2 days, so yeah, interesting one. I could potentially see him being sat out for this one and coming on. It wouldn't surprise me either way. Obviously, I want him to start, but it has been a big week for him. Will he have been allowed some sort of celebration? Potentially so. I've seen a few pictures of the Scotland side out, and they deserve it. So let's hope he is available. I'm sure he will be. I'm sure he'll be in the squad. But will he start? Who knows? Potentially not. But moving on to Leeds. Then let's have a little look at Leeds. So they've lost 4 of their last 5 games. Lost 3-1 to Nottingham Forest last time out, didn't they? Just having a little look at their run of form here. So yeah, they're struggling, aren't they? Where do they sit in the Premier League right now? Just having a quick look. So they're 16th though. So I think we saw Burnley and Leeds make a decent start to life back in the Prem, but I think it's the table, like I always say, after 10 games starts to take shape a bit, and they are starting to disappear back down that league. And for me, I do think early prediction. Look, they could beat us Sunday, but I do think them and Burnley will go down this year with Wolves. We'll talk about Wolves next week. But yeah, that would be my prediction. Looking at the teams around them, I think West Ham will have enough. I think Forest under Dyche will have enough. Fulham will have enough. I mean, Newcastle are next there. Everton, they're not going to be going down. They're not going to be in any trouble come the end of the season. So I think they look doomed. I think it could, if you look at Leeds and what the talk is around there, it could potentially be Farke's last game if they are to lose. It would be very Villa to go there with all this talk and then we go and get beat. It would be very Villa. And away from home, we're not always the best, but I do fancy us in this one. I think the run of form Villa have been on. We were scintillating against Bournemouth, scoring 4 goals, but people are still saying we don't create any chances. Stop watching too much of that XG crap, honestly. Some of the XG... Yeah, you can look at it, but for me, when it said we should have scored like 1.2 goals against Bournemouth, for me, I know people will say, "Oh, you're not looking at it properly," whatever. But yeah, football isn't won on like clear chances. You can score from outside the box. You can score from corners and free kicks. That's football. So yeah, the goals are flowing for Villa at the minute. So I do back us to go there and get 3 points. Listen, like I've said at the start of the video, Elland Road. It does always feel a tough place to go. It does. It's a hostile atmosphere. It's one of the best atmospheres. Like I say, I've been there a few times. I've been to every ground in the Premier League, bar Sunderland. And I think some overrate the likes of Palace and certain grounds. But Everton particularly, I think, because we've always had good results at Everton. Goodison was always spoken really highly of a great atmosphere, but whenever I went, it was deadly silent, and I think that was mainly because we were beating them and they were suffering a lot. So it's not to say Everton aren't great fans, they are, but Leeds to me, I probably have to say, was the best atmosphere away I've seen, because they're just on you for the whole game. That stand, obviously the way end is on the side. Near the corner flag, and the fans in that stand behind the goal they don't watch the game. They're just watching you all game, just giving you stick, and it's good fun there. It is good fun. So it is always hostile, but Sunday 2:00 doesn't always make for the most intense atmospheres, does it? Leeds probably feeling the heat a little bit, feeling the pressure. A lot of the fans probably not behind the manager. I don't think it's going to be that raucous Elland Road we expect. I think Villa settle into that game. First 20 minutes, just get through it, and then just start to dominate, start to pass the ball around, start to do what we do, and win the game and get a few goals. So fingers crossed that is what happens. I think, like I said, last time we played at Elland Road, it was at 0-0 under Gerrard, I believe, in that black and yellow kit. I think Coutinho hit the post, so I was there that day as well. But this is a much changed Villa side and a very different Leeds side. And from a Villa perspective, let's have a little look at the table again. Obviously, we're sitting 6th at the moment. I saw a Sky Sports predicted table. That is in 10th. I mean, we could end up 10th, but to predict that at this stage is a bit strange. I think I had Newcastle in 14th as well, and Arsenal winning the league on like 77 points, which just seems a bit bizarre. But that's Sky Sports for you sometimes. I'll stick with the Opta predicted table that said we'll finish 5th. I reckon we should just go with that. So happy days. But yeah, 11 games in, 5 wins, 3 draws, 3 defeats for Villa, 18 points. Just like I said, we're nicely poised, aren't we? Just outside of that top 5. Obviously, a hell of a long way to go this season, but we're entering a decent run of games here where I do think Villa could pick up points. A win could take you potentially up to 3rd, but you probably, I think Tottenham have got Arsenal this weekend, so I wouldn't back them to get anything there. Chelsea and Sunderland could potentially pick up points, but it is a game Villa need to win for me. It's an important game, but there's like we always say, there's no gimmies, there's no gifts in the Premier League. You have to treat every game with the same respect, and it'll be no different for Villa. Again, if this was at home, I'd expect us to absolutely wipe the floor with them, but away it does give it a different perspective. So fingers crossed we can go and get 3 points. I am predicting us to do so. And I think that's pretty much everything covered for this one. So prediction-wise, what should we go for? I'm going to go with a 2-0 Villa victory. That's what I'm going to go for, with Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers to get on the score sheet this week. That's what I'm going to go for. That could fire back in my face, but let's see. I'm backing the boys. I am backing them. So let's go and get 3 points. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've made it this far, thank you ever so much for watching me ramble on about Villa again. Appreciate the support on all the platforms as always, guys. Thank you so much. And as I say, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And we'll end it, as always, with a big up the Villa.